and what keeps you going every day to prevent you from getting stagnant.
So how many vans have you got now?
Three vans.
3 vans and a HGV.
We'll probably look to selling one of the vans.
I think brand is so much more powerful.
So when I was using it, it's changed a lot since. I've never used it since. It's been on Watchdog and everything. It's like...
Is that good?
It cost £5,000.
I saved up, and at the time we were renting, and one of the guys crashed the rental van, and Warren mentioned about crying on this, and I might actually.
Your honesty with your ADHD.
Yeah. And I sold the van blew up, and I just thought, this isn't working.
Hi guys, welcome to this episode of Movecast, the greatest podcast in the world. Today we are joined by Ben Turton from Newcastle, started his business in 2020. Excited to have you on, mate. First of all, we always ask a business question, which is going to be delivered by Bob.
Yeah, you all right, Ben?
Yeah, I'm good.
Nice to have you on, mate. And before we start, I just want to say, over 400 people are watching this podcast each week, and there's only 50 subscribed. So stop there and hit the subscribe button.
Like and subscribe.
So business question to you, mate, is what is your current challenge, the biggest current challenge in your business as it stands, and how are you going to overcome it?
Probably expansion at the minute. So we expanded the company recently during like everybody's quiet month. So that's been a task. And obviously there isn't the work there, is there? So
why isn't the work there? What do you think?
It's just time of year, isn't it? We're mainly house sales, so it tends to be a quiet time of year for house sales. But I think we'll get there. You know, we came out running, and
for the new year, you come.
You
have a good start to the year. And it's kind of
mellowed down a bit. But yeah, I think we'll get there. You know, we're out there. You know, people are noticing who we are, and it's progressively getting more and more. But
how long have you been Removals then? Is
it 2020?
2020.
So it's 4 years. Well, 3 years as a limited company because we had COVID. 2020.
So is the whole industry, is that quiet at the minute, do you think?
It is a bit, yeah. Well, from different people, I'm hearing that they're not so quiet in different areas, but around our local area.
I always think like that. I think that it is what it is, and then you've just got to try and be busy. Do you know what I mean? If another removal company's busy, then why can't I be busy? You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe a bit too deep, like, but a bit too harsh. But I look at it like so. If someone else is busy in that, especially in the same area, then why not I? So you need to do more things to get the work.
That's exactly how we see it. So my whole sort of mantra is that, like, if they can do it, so can I. Yeah. You know, that's how I've always looked at anything in business. Is exactly that, really. But yeah, so that's why I sort of came out the gate running this year, and hopefully we'll achieve something out of it. But yeah, I think there's not everybody's quiet, but I think a lot of the people that are doing the same as me within the local area are sort of feeling the hit.
So what are you doing to
I suppose just advertising more. Last year we built a new website, which was a big cost, but we spent a lot last year investing into this year being a bit more busy, gaining a bit more traction, and doing a lot more on socials, which if you haven't already, check out the social media.
You know what? I just love the music on there. The music choice is actually unreal.
It's not even us, to be fair. We get someone out to do it.
I really like the music choice. I was like this. I thought I better research this guy before I come on. And I looked on his social media. And I was well into it. I was well into the music.
Popping along to the music.
Yeah. What is your social media so people can check it out?
Turton Removals. Instagram Turton Removals. Turton Removals and Storage on Facebook. Yeah.
Okay, mate. Yeah, so a bit of marketing, to try and drive them sales.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it's just all about being present in it and putting yourself out there, making sure people don't forget who you are, and that's easy done, especially when your name can't be said properly. A lot of people spell it out, and we had a repeat customer, funny enough, that got in touch and said, I searched for you for ages, and I was writing in curtains and and all sorts, couldn't find us.
I mean, it's easy to remember, isn't it? Turtle Removals.
Yeah. Spell it out for people. Starts with a T.
So should we kick it back to the start, was?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So me and you went out for a meal last night, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
So I got to know you a little bit before today.
Yeah.
I think actually I found out everything. We probably should have held some back, shouldn't we, last night? But one thing that grabs me about you, and I've obviously been speaking to you for a few years now, is your honesty with your ADHD.
Yeah.
So why don't we kick it back to school and how that affected you and what you did?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually started off all right in school, in sort of first school. And then growing on and progressing, I was sort of like, also, by the way, Warren nearly killed me on the way to the meal. Drove on the wrong side of the road. We're definitely getting that in.
It was an honest mistake. It's all a head-on collision. We swerved.
So yeah, but then going into high school, I think I just sort of obviously slipped down and I was just a naughty kid, because I was always cracking jokes and trying to make people laugh and stuff like that, and it was just the way that I was.
Yeah.
I was just an attention seeker.
But would you say because of your ADHD you find it hard to concentrate?
Yeah. So that was definitely like one of my main flaws, was obviously trying to concentrate and just being kicked out of lessons.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big thing then. I mean, I'm not that old, but it wasn't like properly like now. It's a bit of a buzzword, isn't it? ADHD.
Yeah. How old are you?
30.
30.
Had to think about that one.
So did you get diagnosed with it?
I did, yeah. Okay. I was diagnosed at like 15 though, so like they started noticing a problem
was that because you was naughty at school?
Yeah, so they were like, what's going on? Like, why is he such a naughty lad?
Yeah. It's probably obvious, but I have to ask it just for people who wouldn't know. But how come it took 15 years to diagnose something that was probably obvious early on?
I think it was just because, so growing up as a kid, I had like hearing problems. I had visional problems. I've got astigmatism. Yeah. So like I had a few bits and pieces where my mum, as you lot say, she was like, oh well, it might just be because of that, but it was blatantly because of ADHD. Well, I mean, it's obvious now that I was sort of sitting close to the TV and stuff, and like sensory overload, isn't it? And and all of that. But yeah, so it didn't get picked up on, and then I was just considered the naughty kid that was just doing naughty stuff for attention, really, which wasn't the case. I just struggled. And then progressed in school to like going out and doing a construction course and stuff like that, like properly like put us with the dunces, and and
did you ever discuss autism if you had sensory overload? Is that a part of it or not?
No, I don't think so. I think it's either one way or the other, really. I think it's just you do get some with ADHD and autism. I don't think I suffer from the autism side of things because I'm quite outgoing, So I don't think I've got that side of it, but to be lucky, because my brother does suffer with autism, but yeah, it's just one of them where where it was never really thought of
Yeah.
as being a thing. You're just a naughty boy, you know.
I'm interested to know then, if your brother has autism,
Yeah.
you have ADHD,
Yeah.
are you anything alike?
He's non-blood related, so
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Is he older or younger?
he's older by a year, but like we grew up. I mean, our families have been together for like you know 20 odd, nearly 30. Yeah, you know, so it's one of them.
So did you make it through school? Did you make it?
Yeah, I did. I still done, like, I proper wanted to go to sixth form, funny enough. But I got kicked out of a lot of my classes. So I got kicked out of science, for obvious reasons, as you can imagine. And then I got sort of kicked out of a few other ones, but maths was never really my strong point. English I was sort of good at. I sort of skirted through with
that Geordie English on?
Geordie English, we are in there.
I want to know why you got kicked out of science.
Bunsen burner.
It must have been. You must have set it on fire.
It wasn't actually the Bunsen burner. I was a smoker at the time because the teachers actually said that I was better smoking because it calmed us down. So I calmed down when I had a tab and I'd come into a lesson, which is a cigarette for anyone else listening.
So you know, like people with, I used to sit next to a guy with diabetes. And when he had a low, he'd have a Mars bar.
Yeah.
So when you were on a high, did you have a pack of fags?
That was the prescription. That was the
Like the
prescription.
teacher pulled one out on the floor.
I tried, like, obviously when I was 15 I got medicated, but because my system wasn't used to it, I just didn't eat, so it didn't really work as well. And that was one of them things where it never did work. So I had to calm myself down with tabs.
What was your first job then after school? Then what did you get grades? Did you get grades?
I got a C at art, which is about all I got.
No, that makes sense because it's kind of correlates.
Creative,
because you can change all the time, can't you? In art, do you know what I mean? It's not like one consistent. You're not doing the same.
It's creative,
Like science is, you have to do all tests and stuff, and you have to be methodical. Whereas art, you can express yourself and you can keep changing. Maybe that's probably why. Isn't it?
Well,
I
think
relates, doesn't it?
Definitely. I think I was always creative, but I had to, obviously I had to get them grades when I left school. I had to learn a lot when I left school, was so I went into bricklaying, which was where I ended up doing like a bricklaying apprenticeship, and you've got to learn how far away the bricks are each course. So learning that was mathematical in itself. And yet there was no escaping it, no avoiding it. I really just had to knuckle down and get on with it and do it. So I did a lot of my learning when I should have, after school, when I should have learned it in school. You
don't realise that, do you, in school sometimes. I think when you're in the lower sets, everyone's messing about, everyone's just having fun. Yeah. And you don't realise that you need it.
You don't.
From my point of view, that's
definitely
what I thought in school. Like.
You take it for granted. I think a lot of people take it for granted, which is why I tell my kids now, stick in. It's not worth it.
But I was the same though in school. I wasn't good at all.
Well, you know.
But I know now, and I haven't been diagnosed, but I know that I've got ADD.
Yeah.
Because I've got very low attention.
Yeah.
But I wasn't naughty, so that probably the naughty side is probably the hyperactive. Is that right?
Yeah. That's the mischievous side. Yeah.
But I wasn't naughty, but I couldn't concentrate.
Yeah.
I really couldn't. So I know that, and I know it through business now that's what I've got.
Yeah.
I should really go and get it confirmed, but I'm pretty sure it's...
So sometimes though, I think when you're not good at something, you don't kind of care about it. Do you know what I mean? And when you get good at something, then you like it and you do it more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So say if you go into maths and you're no good at it and people are, then you just... You swipe it off.
Yeah, you switch off to it. Yeah, I think that was pretty much what. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, because I think maths got too hard for me, so I thought, well, why should I bother? It was like algebra.
Dismiss it.
What's going on here? What's all this about?
And then you realise when you leave school, you need a Bunsen burner.
It wasn't the Bunsen burner. So I actually did it with a lighter under the table.
How long did
it did involve fire.
How long did it last in the bricklaying?
So I did bricklaying up until I finished my apprenticeship. I stuck with it. I did stick with it because in school I was speaking to Warren last night about this, and I said, we did. I had a mentor that was like, I want to stick with you. I believe in you. I believe that you can do it. Who I've bumped into since, and he said, you're smashing it. You're doing great. And I'm like, don't understand how hard it is. And he was like, yeah, but you always said you were going to do something. You're always going to do something like this. You're always going to be self-employed, which was, he sat us down and he was like, where do you want to be and how can school help you? And that was really nice. And actually, and Warren mentioned about crying on this, and I might actually. But that was really nice. And it was someone that sort of believed in us. Don't get us wrong, your family believes in you, don't they? But it's a different type. And when you see somebody else's belief, you sort of thrive off that, don't you? And he said to me, what do you want to do? Write it down. So he left us to it, and this was when I was obviously kicked out of science for being a naughty lad. And I sat there for about an hour while everybody else was in classes. And I wrote down what I wanted to do. One of the things was have my own house at like 17, have my own place. I wanted to leave school and just leave home. And that was one of the things. And the second thing was to have a building firm, not just like be a self-employed bricklayer. It was to have a building firm. And that was what I wanted to do. Obviously, I'm not doing that, but that was where I wanted to be. And I said, I don't want to be like, it's the same as like just being a man in a van. I didn't want to be just that guy that dossed around in his van and didn't really do much other than a few bits and pieces.
Do you find you need to keep progressing?
I thrive on that.
Progressing.
So like getting
to the next stage.
But it's keeping level, isn't it? At the same time, you've got to bring yourself back down to earth. What can you really do? What can I really do this year? How far can I push it this year? Which I often struggle with is boundaries. Like creating that inner boundary in my head and saying that, maybe that's not achievable, but I'm going to put it down in any case, and then we're going to get somewhere near. And that's what I thrive off. I really thrive off doing that.
So when you said you're going to leave, you wanted to leave home at 17, was you happy at home? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't. Every teenager's like a bit like sick of the family and stuff like that. And that was like, just want to be out. I just want to be independent. It was just about being independent.
And that's good because not many people are like that these days. A lot of people stay, don't they? Until
I think that's how I ended up with a kid at 20.
Oh, did you have a kid when you were young? Yeah. Okay, we'll get to that then. So the building firm, how long was you there?
So, you did ask that and we're straight away. I did my apprenticeship, went on to sort of working for other companies. I was all right. I was never like amazing, which obviously made us not being like a sort of, I was took on as an improver off some companies, which was less pay, and I was always like, I should be there, you know what I mean? Like I always wanted to be ahead. So I never wanted to settle. And then I sort of took my hand to groundwork, and I sort of thought I was never consistent, and I didn't always like consistency. So I did stick at bricklaying for quite a long time afterwards. I think it was about 3 years. I was about 21 maybe. Yeah. And I sort of thought, I'm going to give this groundworks looks easy. and it was still creative, and it was laying flags and still like doing bits like that.
Yeah.
And then I think, and then obviously bought a van, and that was sort of where the turning point was.
Okay, so you brought a van for the groundwork?
Yeah.
So were you just trying to start your own groundworks business?
I was starting to
on your own?
do like little bits on the side, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was doing little bits and pieces. And
Is that like landscaping, gardening?
Yeah,
groundworks?
exactly that, yeah.
I always see groundworks as like motorways and for the roads, and they must be all government jobs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you did landscape gardening.
Yeah. So that was where I suppose the artistic side comes out and is where it was like, you know, seeing like a wreck of a place and then being able to transform that into like nice grass and nice patio area and having that, and it was like, I've created that, you know what I mean? And then leaving and doing the next one and starting the next one.
I love them before and afters, you know, when you see the before and afters. I love them on social media.
Could you block pave a drive?
After a work.
Could do one doing that.
Got some work in Redditch. I could actually, yeah.
You could?
Yeah. But yeah, I took that on. So I was doing like bits and pieces all the time, and I learned from a guy that was older than us, and he was like keen to show us, whereas not many people were, because there was a lot more money doing that. If you were just digging holes, they weren't, you know, they weren't the sought after jobs, and they didn't want their work getting pinched, sort of thing. So yeah, I took on sort of doing. People would pull you aside because I was working on new builds as well. So when you're working on the new builds, they were like, "Oh, can you do this job?" You know what I mean? And I was like, I shouldn't really. And then I was sliding off around the corner and dropping a bit of sand over the fence and stuff like that from the site, you know. And that was sort of how I got into being a bit more independent and doing that myself and it started taking little jobs on like that with my little van. And pinching a few blocks off site every now and then, you know. But then that turned into drying up when it was wet, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I thought you were going to say prison then.
Never been to prison. But I'm not that much of a wrong. But yeah, so yeah, having the van helped with that. But then we were making good money on the weekend, and I was bringing in loads of money, and then that all dried up, and then I was just making my 9 to 5, you know. So I was like, what can I do? And then my mother-in-law was like, why don't you go out and start doing like rubbish and stuff like that? There's loads of people looking for the sofa shifted, and like there's loads of people wanting, you know, the rubbish taken to the tip. And I didn't know at the time, like I just went to the tip with a bit of rubbish in the back of the van, and then they were like
loss.
cutting and on. No, I was making all right money.
Because don't you have to pay for the tip though if you go in with a van?
Yeah, but it wasn't at the time. It was council, so I was just going to the council tip, and they were like, "We're seeing a lot of you at the minute. How you got so many permits?" And then I was sort of like, "Well," I was like, I don't know. I just sort of accumulated loads of permits, you know what I mean? Like that was where it was, but it was never like paid. You never had to pay round our way. It was just free to disperse a waste, so you just had to show your permit, and then but yeah, they started cutting on that fast, and sort of so then that was where the moving side came in.
So it was your mum who actually said...
Mother-in-law, yeah.
So your mother-in-law
wife's
said...
wife's mum was like,
great,
why don't you do it? Yeah.
It's amazing. I always find it fascinating how people start. Yeah. You know, like that first moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is when... And it turns into something big, doesn't it?
Yeah. I was very... Like, when I look back at it, and obviously having that first time round and doing it that way, it was like... I then got a looting from that and left my job, and I was like, I'm leaving, left my job and they were like, what are you going to do? And I was like, this, and then turned up on site like a couple of weeks later, and I had this big looting van. I felt like I'd made it, you know, and I had this little transit van that I started with, just doing a little few bits and pieces. But yeah, so that was part of it all, and it's crazy to think that came from just.
How did you get your first house move then? When did that come?
So I think I was well out my depth, like I think a lot of people are when they start, and they sort of like they start just quoting for a house move, and then it turns out there's key weights and stuff like that. Yeah. I didn't know any of that, and this was ages ago. This was before the 3-4 year ago when I started, because I mean technically I've only been doing this for about 3 years because of COVID, But yeah, there was a couple of years before that where this all happened. About 8 years ago when I first started off with like the man and van, and I was just out my depth, and that ended up in me just calling that a day, going back to work.
So you started the man and van bit,
and
then you thought, forget this is hard work, and then you see, okay.
It wasn't even that it was hard work. It was that it was. It wasn't even that it was hard work. It was just that it was a lot trying to keep people working for you and stuff like that. You know, like that was what I struggled with. And then obviously I was on like Anyvan and stuff like that, where the prices are just crunched. And I was like,
Anyvan, what's that?
That's
is that a website? Is it, or so you can get any jobs? Is that?
Yeah.
Do you not know what Anyvan is?
No, I think I've come across it.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's interesting though, isn't it? That's why we like Rob on this.
So do they get the quotes and then they feed you the work and then you just be a member of there? Is that?
No, not necessarily. You can explain it if you've used it. I've never used Anyvan.
Have you not?
No.
So when I was using it, it's changed a lot since. I've never used it since. It's been on Watchdog and everything. It's like...
Is that good?
No, it's not. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say anything that might...
Plugging it in.
But anyways, I mean, maybe you know, not bad mouthing anyone here, but Anyvan, it's a platform for movers to sort of bid on work. I think it was either bidding, and at the time there was like a click to accept, so that the job had already been priced, and say it was going from Newcastle, say here to Redditch. So you're talking 200 mile and you were getting 400 quid for like a van load worth of stuff, but you didn't know what you were necessarily turning up to. It was just someone over the phone that had been like, oh, I've got X amount of stuff. Yeah. Give us a price. And some of the time they were just going, that's a price. And you're clicking on it, accepting it. This was ages ago, like I say. And you were, You looked at the figure and you think, oh, that's great, 400 quid in a day, you know what I mean? And didn't take anything into consideration and just went with it. And seeing shiny objects, that's part of the ADHD, isn't it? It's like just seeing that shiny object and going, that's brilliant. And I ran it into the ground because I was like, why am I not making any money? How come this isn't working? Yeah. And I sold the van blew up, and I just thought, this isn't working. That was basically how it didn't work. So then went back to work and grafted and saved up, and I properly thought about it the whole time, just drawing stuff and like thinking about that life of being just free, you know what I mean? Liberated, isn't it? And it was doing that, and I was like, I want to go back to it. But obviously Lauren being like sort of thinking, my wife was like...
I think the wives always, they go for the safest option, don't they?
Yeah. She was like, don't quit your job. Don't do it. And I got really depressed. And I think, you know, you're calling in life, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
You sort of get a bit down. And I was like, this isn't for me. And I sort of thought, I want to do something with myself, you know, and I come up with contingency plans and everything, and like sort of came up with ideas as to how I could make it work and staying away from platforms and lead providers and stuff like that. And that was sort of where I sort of started dreaming of it again, you know, and for about 1.5 years, 2 years, I was thinking about that for the whole time and saving up, and I suppose deaths happened in the family. Where I was
so do you not use lead providers? Did you not use
that?
Then?
I mean, other than like sort of postal leads, that's what we sort of stick with.
Because I always find from the outside looking at the removals and obviously being around a lot of removal companies, I always think like you build a brand, you get leads. Like you can start a removal company, go to these lead gens, and they'll give you work and then but in that time, I think you're not spending money on your brand. You're spending money to get leads. Whereas once them leads dry up, you ain't got a name, you ain't got a brand, and I think brand is so much more powerful than just going and spending your money on leads, which is good. It sounds good in the short term, but for long-term growth, I've noticed, I think that the ones who have got good brand, like, are more sustainable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's what I've just noticed from the outside looking in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's whether it's true or not, I don't know.
No,
that's what
100%.
It seems like.
Yeah.
Like build the base, build the foundations, and if you need them lead gens, they are a great tool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
£7 for a job or whatever it is, it's great.
Yeah.
It sounds great, but I'd concentrate on building them reviews, building that brand, building that look before anything.
Yeah. I mean, Warren's a great advocate for that. I think you've done great at like creating the brand, and I think people can learn a lot from you, and that's why I've always wanted to speak to you. Yeah. Other than regardless of the amount of times you've not wanted to speak to me.
Didn't he blank you the first time?
He did. Yeah. Funny enough, Rob. Yeah, he did.
This isn't true.
Slander. It's slander. No, you did spend time talking to me, which is hard, isn't it? Because I can keep people on the phone for some time.
Yeah. So explain this little story then, because we were talking about it off air. So you got in touch with me at the start of your journey, is that right?
Yeah, I did, yeah. So I got in touch with you. Ross got in touch with me from Turton Removals. Yeah. And I went down to see him and see how he worked. And that really was like what you were saying at the start about like being able to go, if he can do it, I can do it. Yeah. And seeing that he had 4 vans at the time. I think he had 5. And I just thought, wow, this is great. And I was introduced to loads of other people through Ross, and I'm really grateful for what he's done for me in the start of my journey. Was like, well, I could see that, and then from that, I just wanted to speak to more movers, and then that was when I sort of seen your videos. Yeah. And I suppose I went looking for it, and you really stuck out there. You know, someone doing something different. Yeah. You know, you were doing the filming, and I was like, well, what can you get out of that? You know, like. And I suppose you don't really see the true.
It's not a transaction, is it? It's not like you do a video and then you get loads of moves. You've just got to be out there. It's as simple as that.
It's just making make people know that you're there, you know, and showing people who you are, because I think a lot of people are scared, aren't they, when they're moving? Like it's like. Yeah. It's a big worry. You're trusting someone with all your stuff. Yeah. I don't know him from Adam, you know what I mean? And then finding someone where you're like out there and you're doing your videos, and even if they haven't seen the videos, you can go, look, here's a few videos that I've been creating. And
videos are so powerful.
Yeah.
Especially now. We rarely, when we're scrolling on YouTube, Instagram, whatever, we don't stop on photos anymore, do we?
No.
We stop on videos.
Yeah.
And obviously didn't know this curve was coming, but we've been doing videos now for 6 years, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we've got a big catalogue.
Yeah.
So customers now say to me and the crew is that we already feel like we know you before you've even turned up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we're so trusted.
Yeah.
Which could be a major reason why we're so busy.
And I suppose it doesn't matter how many vehicles you've got, as long as you're sort of just showing, and again off air we were talking about being true to yourself and just being it's who you are, you know what I mean? You're not I've met you in person, you know, I've talked to you over the phone, and you are what you are in a video, you know, like you're not pretending to be somebody else, because that's pretty hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
well, hang on right there. So we was talking off and Benjamin here, he thought Warren, I don't know if you've ever seen the alcoholic video that me and Warren produced, absolute masterpiece. but
was really good.
Link in comments.
Yeah, link in comments. Probably won't. But Ben actually thought Warren was doing it just for the likes. So he weren't even alcohol. He just he weren't even alcoholic, and he just drink. And it wasn't until last night that he realised Warren don't drink. So I found that pretty funny.
So we were having a meal last night, and he's like, you know that alcohol video that you did? He said, was it true, or did you just do it for the likes and the comments and the views?
Yeah.
Of course it's true.
It's really hard to believe though, because he's such a, you know what I mean? Like,
he was very honest.
without
I did
blowing
say that.
smoke up you know, you're a nice guy, and and that comes across quite genuine. But I suppose the dialect, and this is what I was saying about the dialect of like sort of Newcastle's very much like, oh yeah, I eat petting well, right, chirpy. Yeah. Whereas you guys aren't up there already, you know. So it's hard to sort of figure out what people are like from different areas, I suppose. And you do sort of think, oh, is that just put on, you know? And
but you know, like I've got a good relationship with you, especially since you've been using iMove. Obviously, we speak a lot.
Yeah.
And I thought last night when you said that, if you thought that, then others do as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
well, you were saying, weren't you, that you've had some criticism in the past?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because like I'm lucky enough to go into like newspapers and stuff like that. And there are people that challenge you and like go in on you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were speaking last night, weren't we, about our personalities.
Yeah.
And things do affect me. So sometimes I don't want to go into the newspaper.
Yeah.
It's not a nice thing.
But when I remember when you wanted to, because it was kind of like, oh, we should do this video, and then when I'm like doing it with Warren, I'm like, are you sure you want to put this in? Because he's totally like honest, and then I'm a bit dubious. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know if I would have. And Warren honest, put everything in. This is how I felt. And then the amount of feedback he got from it, then I realised, I was like, no way, like he's got so much positive. I know you get a bit of negative, but you've got more positive and some real nice messages from.
I think I counted. I had over 120 different messages from different people with the same problem.
Yeah, and I found that amazing.
Yeah, one of the people as well. Well, there's a few touching ones, but one of them was like a woman. That I've known from, like, used to go into a shop that she works in. I haven't spoken to her for years and years, honestly. And she said, like, it hit me so hard that I need to speak to you about this. I'm drinking 2 bottles of vodka a day. Really? And my husband doesn't even know. Please don't tell him that she was really open with me.
Yeah.
And I just felt like she was just like letting me into like a massive secret. But I feel like it helped. Do you know what I mean?
It would help. It helps people, doesn't it? Yeah, because I think when you're in that environment, you probably feel alone, and you feel bad, don't you?
Yeah.
And you feel like you're the only one who's going through it. But when a video comes out like that, you kind of want to. Oh, I've had that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you kind of come together and help each other out, don't you?
And then that other guy that messaged me saying, just so you know, thanks to your video, I'm now a year sober.
Really?
Yeah, so it's actually like a real positive.
Yeah, that is. It's really good.
Yeah, but so the answer to your question is we did do it for the likes.
Yeah.
But we might as well actually dive into this part, because I think we should be open and honest, especially on this podcast, about I suffer with addictions.
Yeah.
My personality, I can get addicted to anything. I just need to choose wisely.
Yeah.
Alcohol is a bad choice, obviously.
Yeah.
There's lots of bad choices out there. Now I know what to get addicted to.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I suppose that's why we're doing well.
Yeah.
Because I get obsessed.
Yeah.
Have you got an addictive personality?
I've got a very addictive personality. Welcome to the Addiction Podcast. No, but seriously, I've genuinely sort of struggled with that. Definitely, like it's come into my personal life. You know, I was talking to you about sort of struggling with family at home, and you get wrapped up in work, and sometimes there's more to life than work. But we do, as business owners, I think you end up where you're at a point and you go, I'm addicted to work. I'm addicted to, you know, I've been addicted to cigarettes. I've been off cigarettes now.
How many cigarettes would you?
Probably about 20 or 30. It's sometimes 30 when I was doing, I like sort of dabble back into it, you know. So like any addiction, it's always a battle. And I quit for 2 years, never smoked for 2 years, and then started not even like vaping or anything, no nicotine, and completely unhooked myself. But somehow found myself back at it. I think it was the stress of moving, you know, and other people's stress does affect you, and you take on a lot, don't you, in the moving industry. But I think, so I battled with that for a bit, and then I stopped again. And I've recently just been battling with it again, and just having the occasional beer every night, and that does hit you.
It takes its toll, it does. Yeah.
And it
one a
makes you
night
sluggish.
still?
No, I've sort of marked out, and I'm back on the trend of getting myself sorted, and for me and the family and work. And I think it never really affected work because I always prioritised that, and I think that's an issue, isn't it?
Yeah,
If your priorities are wrong and you're doing things, sort of a little bit unhinged.
It can go two ways, can't it?
Yeah.
You can use it as a positive, use it negative. I think people start with negatives, but then they can turn it around, can't they?
Yeah.
It's moderation, isn't it?
Yeah, moderation.
I'm not good at moderate.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I'm the same. It's either all or nothing.
Yeah.
And we spoke a lot about this. But yeah, it's one of them where I think you've got to sort of give some of it. You've just got to prioritize, and if you've got them priorities, and then you think, right, well, if you can, if you've not had any,
are you quitting? Will you drink again?
I'll drink again, I think, yeah. But
so you're in a cold.
I was never addicted to alcohol, so I was never an alcoholic or anything like that. I don't ever think I had a bad relationship with alcohol. I think I didn't. On a night out, I never stopped it where I should have. That's where I see it. But it is most people. Yeah,
especially Geordies, man. I love it. Yeah. I've had a couple of nights out in Newcastle, a couple of weekends actually.
But it is. And then you wake up in the morning and you think, was it worth it? Should I just went home at that point? And I think that's where I need to sort of reining it in, just bringing it in a little bit, and just going, right, if alcohol's a trigger for smoking, at the minute I won't drink. So I think staying off alcohol will stop us from needing a cigarette, which again I never smoked before this for about 3 years. But yeah, I've always dabbled in sort of some sort of addiction, and trying to break that habit is tough, and it's just about triggers and learning your triggers.
And choosing wisely. But you know what they say, you never stop an addiction, you swap an addiction.
Yeah.
So you swap alcohol for something else.
Yeah. But it's choosing
you've got an addictive
the positive
personality, you have to be addicted to something.
Yeah.
But just make sure it's not gambling, drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. Or anything that's going to kill you. It's making sure you choose something that's a positive,
I'm 4 years, 3 months in now, being sober.
Well done, mate.
And on reflection, I'm now more than okay to admit I did have a big problem. I was drinking when I could, as much as I could. But business really took off for me. It took off beforehand. We were doing well before, but business took off for me literally from the day I stopped.
Yeah.
Because everything I had a better vision.
Clear mind. You got a clear mind, without a doubt.
Yeah.
More focused, 100%,
Because when you drink, let's be honest, the day after, you're not working at 100%, you're probably 70%.
Yeah.
So without you realising work is affected, because you're not performing at your best.
Even if it is just a couple as well, it's just like, obviously, with what you were going through, it's a lot. And seriously, congratulations on 4 years sober. That's really good. It's really positive.
Well, when I was drinking a lot, and I say this, I'm more than happy to speak about this, but I took a £250,000 growth loan. You know what I mean? Part of that was a bounce back, which affected another part of the loan, so we had to pay that back. So in total, we had £200,000 to grow into this place that we're at now. Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was drinking. I had to deliver business plans. I had to do Zoom meetings. I had to be confident with how I was approaching it. The proposals to what we could make from borrowing this money. You know what I mean?
100%.
I had to be so switched on.
It's a lot of money to borrow. You need to be, you know what I mean? You can't make mistakes when you're borrowing that much money.
Plus these people who are lending it to you, they need to understand that you're confident. They want to know you've got a decent business plan. They want to know what money you can bring in from borrowing this money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to do it. I'd have cancelled it. Like I had 4 Zoom meetings with different people in different departments because it's a lot of money to give to somebody who they don't know.
Yeah.
And I had to be confident. If I was still drinking, I'd have cancelled those meetings. I wouldn't have turned up to them. I'd have said, forget it.
Yeah.
But I was confident.
Now look here, if you're in forward day, 5 moves. I call him Mr. Zoom. That's what he does.
Man,
That's what he does. Zoom. How many Zooms you got today? 7. we had to limit it to 3, didn't we? I think 3 was the max.
Max. So they can be 2 hours, but yeah. Whilst talking about this, I got myself into £200,000 worth of debt. Yeah. What are you like with debt? Does it scare you?
It does scare me, yeah, because I've been in a bad situation with debt before. Obviously, addictive personality.
Yeah.
That sort of does. It was never personal. It was the first time round, trying to get myself that established. And I think anybody who says they started without some sort of financial help is definitely not telling the truth. I'm very fortunate. That I suppose I was given a second chance. My dad helped me out, and he bought all of our vehicles. He did. A big shout out to my dad.
Big up. What's your dad's name?
Rick.
Big up Rick. Big up Rick. Well done.
Big up Rick. That also goes by another name as well, doesn't it?
Do you mind saying that or not?
So I started off. I've got 40,000 where we're borrowed technically, but we've got that an asset,
Yeah.
But that was always sort of, it was focused towards something positive. But I'd done that for 2 years without anything.
Yeah.
And I think my dad had seen that, and he knew that I was stupid at one point, and him lending me that money was like, this is. He didn't lend us that. It wasn't like, there you go, there's, you know what I mean? It was like, it was a gradual.
Gradual.
So it was like, I'll get you that one.
Yeah, but you proved to him first.
Yeah.
And then he's found actually, like, Ben's on something.
Yeah.
There you go, son, what any dad would do for their son.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, oh, I see that he's known that he's messed up. He's done some, and sadly it came from bereavement in the family as well. My mum actually helped us out first. So I have got to mention my mum, because she had lent us the money to get this little Ford Transit. The Ford Transit box van was my first one. I saved up, and at the time we were renting, and one of the guys crashed the rental van, and that meant that I had to use a chunk of my money getting this rental paid, and that used all my money. That I'd saved up and worked for over them 2 years, and my mum had said, you know what, like, if you want, my stepdad had passed away, and she was like, use this money, get a van, and pay us back.
Yeah. Which,
by the way, I still owe her a little bit. But she was like, get a van, get yourself sorted, and you're doing well at what you do. So she was like, I suppose, the first person that sort of really believed in what I was doing. Which was nice, and it was nice to sort of start, because at them first 2 years, I always felt like, well, I suppose it was the first year, I was proving a point. I was sort of going out and going, I can do this, because even Lauren at first didn't want us to do it, which led to me actually. I spoke to Warren about this. Was after I quit with all the money that I'd saved up, I actually bought a burger van.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to work in a burger van.
Yeah.
And what you did as well. Yeah. We both have,
all that stints in burger.
Yeah, I tell you what, they have a little gold mine, man. The one that I was in was a little gold mine.
I tell you what, mine wasn't.
Was it? Yeah, honestly, yeah. I never owned it. Like someone else. It was actually my ex-missus's mum who owned it, and I used to do part time. I think in the cash they used to, like on a weekend, in Worcester City Centre. I was like, oh my days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was like one of them where I started up, and that was all my money. That all went into that, and I thought, it's going to be great. It's going to do great, and you see these burger vans doing brilliant. Well, I didn't know anything about cooking really. I'm all right, you know what I mean. But pardon me, sorry, you'll edit that bit out. The work that I actually had to put into it, and the stress that it caused, I thought, this isn't my calling. And I still thought about, a mad part of my brain. This is how mad my brain works. I thought, I'll just take all of the catering stuff out. I'll put it on the back of my Berlingo van, and I'll put furniture in it. And that was one of my ideas, was like, this isn't working. I'm going to strip this down and I'm going to put furniture in it. I mean, that would have never worked. But, you know, I had my wife there to tell us that wasn't going to work. Yeah. And she was like, don't be an idiot. Why are you being so... And like, I suppose Lauren's always helped with that impulsive thought, you know, and like, always run stuff past Lauren. And I'm like, do you think this will work? Don't get us wrong. A lot of the time I've ignored it, and I suppose that does cause a little bit of friction. But I always think you know, it's not that entrepreneurial brain that you're wired up to have, you know, and you either wired up that way or you're not. And I remember, but you said, you know, you weren't that entrepreneurial last night. You said, you know, you didn't have that sort of buzz. You know, you just sort of, you're quite level-headed, and you like to. Yeah,
I think sometimes you've got to be careful the people you ask as well, because like you've probably like rehearsed and revised and watched videos, watch YouTube videos, learn so many things in your journey, and then you ask someone with no knowledge, you ask them a big question, and then you go with what they say. Yeah, you know what I mean. I've found that a lot of the time. I've done that in the past. Yeah, you know what I mean, and it's probably been the wrong decision. But because they ain't looked into it as much as I am. Yeah. But really, you want someone just to agree with you. you know what I mean? Yeah. Don't you find that? No, I don't know.
Yeah, I do, yeah. Like, it's like you're trying to prove a point, and like that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get your point across and tell them, you know, like, this can work, it can work. Yeah. But and that's difficult. But yeah, that led to me giving that up, funny enough, just before COVID hit. And as COVID hit, and it didn't hit in the UK, and obviously all these food vans were thriving, and I gave it up just before the peak. I sold it, so whoever bought it, I hope they made some money.
Yeah, so you had the burger van business, and then was it? Then you went to
straight into removals.
Then Turton's become
Turtons. But yeah, no, it was exactly that, and I thought I just wanted to do that, but I wanted people to believe in it, but nobody did. So I was like, how am I going to do it? And I think everybody, you said the same, didn't you? You started off renting a van, and that was a good way to worm my way into it. If it didn't work, I've not invested anything into it other than the protective equipment that I'd sort of bought. But you know, it was a couple £100, maybe it's £1,000 I spent, I think, with Woods at the time. And I spent that, and I was like, right, I've got all of the gear, literally no idea. Yeah. And that was when I looked at YouTube, and I thought, nobody really wants to sort of, I know a lot of people say removals is dead open and people want to talk. But nobody really sort of wanted to. I couldn't find anywhere local that would literally let me just work with them, you know, and that was difficult. So I really needed to learn the trade, and I think there was a couple of people like there's a guy local to me, George GS Transport, and he showed me the ropes, and he's much older than me, loads more years in the game. And he was like, you know, you just do it like this, and just showed us how to do it. And then a mix of that and watching YouTube tutorials was basically how I sort of picked it up. And now I find myself like still doing the same, you know. If there's anything I'm unsure on, I go and ask someone. But I mean, we know what we're doing when it comes to domestic moving, you know, and commercial moving to a certain extent as well. But yeah, we're getting there, but everything's still a learning curve.
So how did the first year look compared to like how it looks now? Is it a big growth? Is it?
So
started with 2 vans and staff. Did you have
first year I started off just rentals only. Yeah. The end of that year I had a transit that my mum had bought for us, and then and that was I think I'd done like 65,000, and I was really happy with that, and I thought, oh, this is great, you know, and I thought this is the next big thing, you know, and I thought I'm going to do it now, you know, and I thought it wasn't amazing because I didn't pay myself a wage. You know,
No,
what
you
I
don't.
mean,
That's what I
during
think.
that
That's what
time.
a lot of entrepreneurs do. It's like you create this business, and you think you're doing well, and you're not even taking a wage for all that work you're putting in. You know what I mean? You think, oh, we're great. It's great. We're not, but you're like, you should be getting paid like a manager. You're managing the company, so you should be on a high salary, really.
Yeah. And then I suppose like our financial year for this year's just ended, but the year before that we were at like a level. We were still at like the same point. And a big thing for me was a target of being VAT registered. I was like, I need to be VAT registered. I'd be taken more seriously, and it'd be great, and this, that, and the other. And you know, you always sort of have these little stupid goals, and that was one of mine. And but my accountant said, you know, you'll struggle getting from where you are now to being VAT registered, because if you're VAT registered, you don't just want to creep over it because it's going to hurt. Like, you're then going to have to pay tax and everything else when you're not really earning much. And it's still a struggle, but we still managed to sort of keep our head above water, pay wages last year, you know, and pay our own wages. And I thought, this is great. This is a huge milestone. And we put all the legwork into getting the HGV from the get-go, you know. That was where we wanted to be. And we've got that HGV now, you know.
So you got an HGV? That's great, yeah. So how many vans have you got now?
Three vans.
3 vans and a HGV.
We'll probably look to selling one of the vans.
Okay,
and hire in if we need to, and take that next growth step slowly, you know, and work our way into that.
So HGV, because it's a big investment in it, the HGV.
It is, yeah.
Not only finance wise, but cost, but time, because you've got to train your staff, and you've got to, like, I know you've had a couple of people leave, and you've trained them up. You know what I mean? It's hard in that respect, and it's not just a driver's license, is it?
Yeah, and although they're like so valuable, they also become a bit like they start to understand that you're desperate for them. So they're sat on a bit of a high horse as well. Yeah, that's what I feel anyway. Yeah, my staff are great, by the way, but you know, the ego changed a little bit. I felt. Yeah, definitely. Like, I put them through it, and then it was like, well, I've seen online, you know, they're getting 20 quid an hour. Yeah, and you can't do that as a small business, can you? Yeah. And I think that's something that I will struggle with, and I will be challenged with. But from the get-go of just buying it this year, I've realised how much time that's took, you know, and
to train your staff.
Not even just that; it's just been like, I'm my own transport manager as well, so like trying to deal with the transport management element of it all, and that sort of thing, which I think, to be honest, will look to externally get in as a transport manager, because it is too much work to take on, and you see a lot of other businesses where they'll do the same, but I think it's always good to know how the job's done before you pass it on, you know.
Of course, without a doubt, because you're just passing on the same like limited information,
and that person could tell you they're doing, you know, I've got to do this, that, and you don't know what they're actually doing. So it's the same as like the social media stuff. I sort of taught myself a little bit of it last year before I took someone on to do it, because I was like, what does the work actually involve? And it's pretty hard work.
Yeah, it's time consuming, and it is.
Because your Warren's like sort of, you do the YouTube videos and stuff, don't you?
No, I used to. So I used to do all the videos, but now he's bombed me, to be fair.
He's ditched you.
Yeah, he's ditched me.
It's a rough subject. Will always be the blockbuster videos, you know, the 2-3 minute specials.
Yeah.
But I've gotten two.
Basically, he can only afford me once a year.
I was just going to say awkward, but it turns out Rob doesn't want him.
No, it's just time, because me was like, we started kind of together in a way, didn't we? And we grew each other, didn't we? Yeah. I mean, we've said it many times. We grew each other up, and then we just like I just want him to do the best, and he just wants me to do the best. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, I would prefer to do videos like for Warren's like all the time, but you got to seek other opportunities, ain't you? And,
exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's one thing I've learned just recently, is that, you know, considering you're sort of so far away, so far removed from what you do as to what Warren does, but that sort of working relationship, and obviously you guys are mates, but the working relationship can work with anyone, you know, it doesn't matter what they really do, you can sort of make that work. If they do cakes, for instance, you know, you could still talk to them about business, because business is business, exactly.
Business, yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the
when you like, you just simplify it, don't you? And it's, as you say, it's about enjoying it and we're loving it, and we're absolutely loving iMove. We are really.
You can tell
it.
that you do enjoy it.
Yeah, no, we do. Like I just want to spend more time on it. Do you know what I mean? Like we ain't even getting. The thing is, we ain't even getting started, are we?
Not really.
Yeah, and no. It's going. Touch wood. It's going well, man.
Yeah.
And it's good to bring like the removal companies in here and get to speak to and get to know the clients.
Nice to meet new people.
It is, especially Geordies.
It's like you said, you joined because you wanted to be a part. You seen that we were creating something, building a community, and you wanted to be a part of it. And I think quite a few people have done exactly the same as that, because that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring everyone together.
Yeah. I think the main thing was that, you know, that what you do, and you know, like I say, you wore your heart on your sleeve, sort of thing. Same as me. You know, it is what it is. Does what it says on the tin. You know, it's that kind of and togetherness. You know, and that's what you genuinely, without kissing arse here. I think it is, and it is a bit of a movement. It is nice to see. It's nice to see change in the industry, especially such a hard industry to crack. Do you find it a hard industry? Like people are so like in the ways with certain elements of things.
But it's good. I can't believe we're proving that we can change people's habits.
Yeah.
You know, lots of people that have changed from pen and paper or different systems and different like ways of working.
Yeah, because when we first started, it's like, how are we gonna like make someone change their ways if they're already doing well? How are we gonna make someone like, especially move systems? Like you used 2 systems before, but like them systems have been going for years. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like I think when we was building it, I knew. Do you know what I mean? I knew like the modern how the modern world was, it's been great, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I think it's nice, and I think it's, you know, it's good that you bring in people and you make them connections.
We spend a lot of time, like especially Warren spends so much time like with the users. You do spend a lot of time, don't you?
Yeah.
Like our Zoom calls, it's 2-3 hours long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? An onboarding call.
Mine one of them.
Yeah, well, that's it. Because it gives them the time.
Yeah.
Like, most people, like, time's precious, be like, okay, I've got to go, do you know what I mean? But isn't it?
Yeah, I'm surprised actually at how much time Warren's had for us, and I almost feel guilty, like, to a certain extent, when I get in touch and I'm like, it's such a trivial thing, such a small thing. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm really stuck, and I think I'll try and figure it out myself or whatever else first, and then I'm like, I'll give him a message. I don't mean to pester you, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want to pester you, and then, but you're always like within an hour, it's like I've got a message back. Oh, Warren's like, you know, you've told us what to do, and you've walked us through it, and then you'll even send us screenshots and stuff, and I'm like, Jesus, you know, like, this guy must just be non-stop.
Within an hour? We need to upload games.
Yeah, normally
within an hour, what you've been doing. But we pride ourselves on, like, customer service, and customer service is the one. If the clients are happy, then you're winning. Do you know what I mean? And that's the simple. If we do what you want, then other people will want what you want, if you know what I mean. Because we're all in the same industry, and if you do that, then the rest will follow. I believe anyway. You know
I definitely think that's the case. Yeah.
The one thing that I know, and we speak about this on every podcast, is family, and that's the one thing that I'm probably the worst at.
Yeah.
Only because Warren's Removals, I'm so proud of where we've got to. That I got to a position where if I did go home, the staff members that used to ask me questions and ask at night go to somebody else. Yeah. So I could have my night. Yeah. But then iMove was born. And iMove users message me at night. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So they're chewing into the family again. So I just need to figure that part out really. But I I like to act on stuff
We
quickly.
we're at the building phase, aren't we? I think
Yeah.
you do act quickly. To be fair, I have noticed that you do act very quick. Like you just want. I think you just want it off your plate more.
Yeah,
than
because
anything.
I said last night, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I don't, there's a backlog.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I could, instead of having 1 or 2, I could have 20.
Yeah.
And it's hard then.
Because
And
I've
then you
said
forget.
that.
Yeah.
Switching off, like I wouldn't care. I've always, if I've messaged you at like 8 o'clock at night, you always message us back. I'm like, mate, don't message us back till tomorrow. You know, family's important. Family comes first. But you're totally right in what you're saying. At the same time, if someone's messaged you and you go to sleep that night, it's business. It's the business brain. It doesn't switch off the business brain.
And we understand that people have got businesses to run.
Yeah.
This is people's livelihoods.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And our system, like is running their business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we've got to be on point for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's exactly what it is, isn't it? You
I
have to be
actually
on
feel
point.
more responsible for iMove than ever with Warrens.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because when you move in a house, it's a customer, you know, you don't want to upset them. You want it to go perfectly.
It's one person, though, isn't it?
But there's so many people, companies signed up now, so many. And this isn't just their business, this is their life. You know, they're funding their life through their business, and their business is run on iMove.
Yeah.
So you have to be
on it,
straight on it.
Yeah.
I think because you've ran your business, you know, you've got it at this point.
Yeah.
And then you sort of see it as, right, well, everybody else needs to get to that point, you know, and that's, I've definitely seen that in you, in what you offer.
What's your favourite feature on iMove? We always ask this anyway. You can be honest.
I don't know. I genuinely just like how smooth it runs. Like that's my honest opinion. Like if I go on there and I want to search for a customer or something like that, and it's there. You know, I've used other CRMs. You know what I mean. So as a sort of Warren's, as a sort of iMove being sticking out from other CRMs, I think it's just that it's smooth, it's efficient, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does
The
does the job a lot better, yeah. And
It's quick, isn't it? It's rapid.
yeah, and then I've just found out, like, after sort of trying to expand and all the rest of it, like, I want to take myself off the vans and be more on the HGV.
Yeah.
And obviously I've tried to set lads up on, well, I was like, Warren, is there a feature on here for a systemise, like, the guys knowing what to do when they're coming into work? That one thing. And he was like, yeah, here. He was like, sign them in here, create him a username with his email address and all the rest of it. And I was like, no way. And he was like, you can just assign
of course,
so I can assign the van jobs to him. So it's all about preparing for that busy period. And I was like, I know now that I can just set him up on that, and he knows what he's doing. He knows what covers to get from the unit, because it's all there.
iMove works best when all your staff have got it as well. You know what I mean? So 100%. You can just create your own staff login, and then it works best when everyone's using it, because everyone's singing off the same sheet.
So I suppose my favourite feature is that, and I've just found out fairly recently.
I think there's quite a few companies, because obviously we use it and we're building it, so we're like wizards at it.
Yeah.
But this morning, the developers pushed an update, which was exciting. It wasn't expected, was it? Well,
Yeah,
it just came like we've got an
yeah.
update. And I sent it on to a few of the users. Craig Atkinson, give him a shout out.
Oh, he wanted a shout out, actually.
Did he?
I've got to tell everyone that Earth is flat.
Okay.
That's genuine.
Oh, that's controversial. That's controversial, isn't it?
But yeah, he wrote back to me saying, bloody hell, mate, I ain't even got used to the last update yet, so we're just feeding them so quick, aren't we?
Oh, it's exciting. We're addicted to features, aren't we? We just want it to be the best. Like,
I've always liked that, like the fact that you do that. I got the same message, and I was like, "I'm coming to see you in a minute," you know. But it was good, you know. You do that as soon as you're very on it with all of that.
That's good feedback, man. I appreciate it.
But it's terrific. Like from using other platforms to sort of the work ethic you guys have got with iMove is phenomenal. Like you don't expect humans to work the sort of the capacity that you do.
We are like robots, aren't we? But I need to give a shout out to Tash, because she is like literally a super mom.
Yeah,
she really is, and she does bear with me.
Yeah,
but she understands that my goal is to have put in all this graft now. So they say between 30 and 40 are your
that's
hungry years, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I'm in my hunger.
Yeah.
And I think she knows that, because in the next 10 years, hopefully, I don't need to do that.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Well, that's it, isn't it? You're working for the future,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's how I see it. Exactly the same. It's if I work hard now, and I have to work as hard later in life.
Let's give a shout out to Lauren.
Give a shout out to Lauren.
Yeah.
Give a shout out to Lauren's mum, who obviously helped us start a business.
Yeah, because
What are their
yours
names?
is like, it is a proper
Lauren
family-run
Turton.
business, and it like without the whole family running it, because
Yeah.
your mother-in-law gave you the idea,
Yeah.
your mum gave you the first financial
first
start,
van, yeah.
and then your missus just tells you what to do.
Yeah.
Missy tells you what not to do.
She keeps
and
me
then you
right.
visit your dad.
Yeah,
and
my
then your
dad.
your
Yeah.
dad
And I
help
have.
the growth. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. Like, but at the same time, nobody did believe at the start. But I don't blame them for not believing, because it was such a big thing at the time, and it was like, he's gonna have to prove it if he wants it, you know. And I suppose I've had that like I've had that reward, I suppose is that word I'm looking for. I've had the reward from my family, like the approval from them, you know, to say, you know, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And that's always nice to hear. And Lauren's my biggest supporter. And she's always believed in me and whatever I can do. She always has.
Yeah.
That was the one person that pushed me from the start. I was depressed in a 9-to-5, and she said, why are you turning? And I said, well, what do you mean? What else am I going to do for money? And she was like, it was her that said, you know, go and do rubbish and go and do the settee and whatever else, you know, in your van, and see how you get on, you know. And that was, and I was coming back, and Lauren's mum was then looking for stuff on Facebook non-stop. Big up Sarah.
Sarah and Lauren. We need
Lauren,
these people
me
in
mum
our lives.
didn't-
You need a strong, especially a strong woman behind you. Do you know what I mean? It's so important. Like, if you've got that, you've got them to look after the family while you go and express yourself. We was talking about this the other day, weren't we?
Such a like, one thing that Lauren always does say is that nobody really sees the work that I put in, and that's sad, because at the same time I always think she puts in such hard graft, and that's sad to see that.
I always find they've got the hardest job.
Exactly. They've got
it's unrewarding though. I think that's probably what she means. It's unrewarding, because Tash feels the same. Nobody says, well done for being a mom today. Do you know what I mean?
It's true. It is like, but you just got to look at the kids and then think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where the reward comes from. Mommy, I love you.
And I understand it, because Tash is like, you know, she's often said it before there.
Yeah.
I'm the guy getting all the applause.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm getting all the praise, and I'm getting told I'm doing really well.
Yeah, yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to do it without her.
Yeah.
So she deserves it too.
Yeah,
But
100%.
I tell her that, obviously.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I've had a rude awakening to that recently, and that's been a big culture shock to me.
Yeah.
Is that I've learned the hard way as to how important family is, and
Absolutely.
that's one of my biggest downfalls is not remembering that, and maybe he's not making as much time, you know, if it's just a Sunday a week, you know, instead of going out and trying to, you know, keep up appearance.
It's different though. I don't think, because I criticise myself a lot about this, but I know that I'm not being selfish in a way where I'm going out to the pub and I'm just getting wrecked all the time, and I'm going here, there and everywhere. You know, I'm focused on us building a good future.
And I think that's what Katie likes about me, is that I'm not going out with the boys. I'm like every second I get it's I move. Do you know what I mean? So I think she likes it in a way.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't see my mates as much as I do now.
It's a different kind of drive, isn't it?
It is,
and it's a much more beautiful one for the family. They understand it.
And to do it with your best mate anyway, it's like ticks two boxes.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing your friend as well.
Yeah, exactly.
As well as doing it, which is a bonus.
But that was like sort of at the same time, that was where my downfall was at the weekend, going out for a drink.
Yeah.
Because you just want to switch off, don't you? You just want to go, just go to the pub and have a couple, you know, and relax and unwind. and you don't think about the work that your family's put in for you, and you're letting them down when you're not when you're not level-headed on a Sunday. You know what I mean? If you're not level-headed on a Sunday and you're not spending time with your family on a Sunday, so I suppose that's sort of back to the addiction sort of side of things. Is that? But,
just to let the watchers know that this is on a Good Friday.
Yeah, we'll have to get fish and chips, no beer.
We're all seeing our families after this, by the way. Oh, quality.
We're actually going out after this, aren't we?
We're going to
a football match.
Yeah, look, you was out on the town, eh?
Not that. We just football. We got a box in the football match. It's actually our I was telling you, it's our EBC's the server and the data security we use for iMove. And is he the director of Kidderminster Harriers Football Club?
Yeah, he owns it. Yeah.
So he's the director of Kidderminster Harriers Football Club. So he's kindly got us a box there with a Sunday dinner. I think we've got roast.
We've got a 3-course meal today. I've got a board. Warren's Removals have got a board.
Oh yeah, you have, yeah.
In the stadium.
Yeah.
So how much you pay for that? How much you pay for that board?
That's big time.
Give the some. So Woz has got a big time. Was here has got a football board in a football stadium.
Yeah.
They're in the National Conference League.
National League, conference. So pretty big. It cost £5,000.
£5,000. Is that how long is that for a season?
Yeah. So right. So I did it about 2 months ago. So I get the rest of this season and next.
Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah.
But
so
how many get hospitality tickets like today?
That's good.
Meal in the box. Yeah. You get invited to different events. I'm sure I need to put the work in to get the money back, but I seen it as £5,000. I can do that easy.
So how many people go to that game? Would you say? What's the attendance?
About 1,000.
Okay, so you get 1,000 eyes local, 1,000 eyes localised. I think you'd do it back.
But I don't. I actually didn't look at it like that. So I actually looked at it as when you get invited to these events and the sponsorship meals and the different hospitality events.
The networking.
I want to network with those people. I want to network with businesses. So that's what I looked at. And I know that the owner is moving out. So I couldn't make it all back from him.
That was right, He can't big move as well, isn't it? There you go.
He can't not move with you, can he?
But it is a big thing for me because I was born in Kidderminster.
Do you think he's watching?
Definitely not.
That is a big thing for you, actually, because you was born there, weren't you? And
I was
to
born
sponsor I'll get you.
So Kidderminster is where I was from, where I went to school.
Yeah.
So to sponsor
it's nice to give, but you sort of, in a way, you're giving back locally as well, aren't you? So,
you are.
Yeah.
And that's what I recommend as well, is like, don't be afraid to spend money on your business, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Water the plant, as they say.
Keep watering the plant.
Keep watering it,
I've never been afraid of that.
Yeah.
Never been afraid of spending money.
Yeah, me either, which is my worry.
Yeah.
Lauren's worry.
I think you've got to try everything. You've just got to keep trying things, and then you know what works. You know what I mean? You start to like know what you're getting from the money you spend.
Absolutely, yeah.
So do you do monthly like accounts and stuff like that? Do you do monthly meetings and on your accounts and stuff like that?
I probably should, but I don't.
Do you use an accounting system?
I use an account. Well, we use Xero.
Do you use it in house or is it outsourced by your accountant? Do they do it? I never used to, but we are going to integrate iMove into Xero. But we never used to. We never used to do our bookkeeping. We used to do our bookkeeping in house. Sorry, but it is just through the accounting itself.
Yeah. So do you have monthly management meetings?
Yeah, we have P&L meetings. Yeah, Tash is in charge of all that. But she's only just returned to work after having Hudson, so we had about 3 months off, 3 or 4 months off. Yeah. But P&L meetings are so important because you can break it down where you're spending, where you need to improve. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so important.
Probably have to have one of them meetings.
No, you do. That's business 101, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Monthly meetings.
Yeah.
What about, do you do it in iMove? Do you look at the figures in iMove and Xero?
No, iMove integrates with Xero.
Yeah.
So all invoices are built on Xero, but then you use your P&L on Xero for like your expenditure, so like if you're buying fuel and all that kind of stuff. So the P&L is built on that. And then
I get what you. Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood the question.
Where you marketing?
We do have that. It doesn't get taken much notice of by me, but we do talk about that. And I suppose
meetings are so important.
Yeah.
Like, you can really, in those meetings, you know where you're going wrong or where you're actually going right.
Yeah.
You know, you can. We listen to a podcast, don't we? James Sinclair one, and he also speaks about this.
He does, how important it is.
When he was saying it, I was like, I do that, and I've been doing that for 2 years now.
It is. I'd say, definitely important because that's what it's all about, right? Not what it's all about, but that's the goal. You need to survive. Do you know what I mean? So there you go, mate. Every month, get on it.
Do profit and loss.
I'll just be told off every month.
So what's the future for Taunton's? Turtons.
I told you it was easy to say.
Turtons, is it? Turtons.
Turton.
Yeah, Turtons.
Turtons. Yeah.
Turtons. So, what's the future like for the tea removal company?
The big T. Want to be. I don't know. See, this is where I struggle with where my mindset's going to. I think we just want to be the name on people's mouths. You know, when it comes to moving, it's us you use. You know, whether that's franchising or whether that's building it big so I can sell or what, I don't know. Yeah. But
have you got an end goal in mind? Have you got an end goal?
End goal's a big house.
Yeah.
Just retiring early, mate, is all I want really. I think if I can retire
would you retire?
early,
I don't think you would.
I don't think I probably wouldn't.
Give me an age, retirement age.
I'd never retire.
I don't. Yeah, when I do think about retirement, I do think I probably couldn't. I'll probably sit back and be like, I can't do this anymore, and I'd probably set up something else. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
if I sold up or something along those lines, or had it so it was self-run.
Yeah.
You know, like
I'd probably
I'd probably be sitting there stewing the whole time, thinking, what else can I do now? What else can I do? And what else can we branch out to? I don't think there isn't an end goal as such. I just want to live comfortably. Is about it, and making time for the right people, you know. And that's where I want to be. Is just having that, being able to take a day off without worrying about finance, you know. And that's a big thing, isn't it? I think that's what most people's should
to feel comfortable in it.
Yeah. I think that's why we all do it. Really, is just to have a cushy life, and and not have the same worries.
But you see, like a flip to that, I'd hate to win the lottery. I would.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it's like you ain't done it. You know what I mean? Like you win the lottery, and it's like
there's no.
I ain't done it though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I ain't done that. Like I wanna. There's something about doing it yourself.
Achieving it
yourself.
Yeah, winning it.
You know what I mean?
But I suppose if you won the lottery, your knowledge to know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Your knowledge to know how to turn that
crypto
to 5 million.
Crypto.
But
2.7 in crypto.
I know what you mean though. If it lands in the wrong hands, it could be a downfall.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying downfall. Like if I won the lottery, or it's just I've won the lottery, then I'm comfortable. Then there's no real it's like the lottery's got my goal. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's not an end goal, is it? It's like
it's
I think seeing, you know, like you look at Eddie Stobbart and companies like that. I know that's transport sector, you know what I mean? It's a little bit different, but it's logistics, not transport. But that's a great goal. That's a great mind. I think to have that sort of that goal of having trucks everywhere, and like it's unavoidable. You know what I mean? And creating a brand that's just sort of.
I remember when I was a kid with the Eddie Stobbart, and my dad used to drive to Scotland a lot, and when we used to drive, like. He used to say, what's this one called? Because they've got the I think it's the driver's wives, is it?
Yeah.
And I always used to look back, like, what's it called? That's Maria, Dad. You know, when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
That was our Scotland drive, like looking at the Eddie Stobbart vans,
Yeah. And I think that's a great bit. That's a great thing. Yeah, that would be a great thing.
Quite a lot of people know about that.
Yeah, it's like a legacy. It's like a legacy, proper legacy thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you got a question, Moz? You got a question from...
I do, actually. I need to get my phone out, though. Because I need to read it off my phone. Is that all right?
Yeah, we've got time.
I'm not having that.
Okay, so this question
Who's it from? Is it?
comes from Joe Catterall.
So on this podcast, our last, if you're new to this podcast, our last guest leaves a question for the new guest.
Yeah.
Can I also say that I also know Joe, Craig, Chris, and all the rest of them in a group that we're in. So
You got a group of you.
yeah, so I'm well looking forward to this. Warren's not invited to it as well.
So we've only got
I've
Craig.
never been allowed in this one. So maybe I just haven't. I'm just not.
You're not good
qualified
enough.
Maybe. All right then, from Joe Catters.
Come on.
What is your driving factor for your business? So what keeps you motivated and what keeps you going every day to prevent you from getting stagnant?
What's my driving factor to stop us going stagnant?
What drives you? So I guess what you mean is when you wake up in the morning, what is got that fire in the belly?
I suppose, like my family, really, isn't it? It's anybody's is the family. It's making sure that they're all right. You know, making sure that I've got I've got the income to bring in. You know, and I can get them the nice house. I can get them that, and I suppose that's what keeps you going.
Yeah.
And then as well, obviously, second to that is that you've got guys there that need work. That's my constant drive is making sure that the guys are in work and having them so they've got their families to feed and I suppose at the end of the day theirs becomes before mine in any case. Their families come before mine in any ways. So that's a really keep making sure that they're working and making sure that they've got the work there to feed their family.
Yeah. Would you say it's true the saying that when you run a business and you get staff and employees and you've got a family to feed and look after, you actually become the last person you think about?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, 100%. Because, I mean, Lauren always says this. This is another one that Lauren says. She says, how we feed other families and we can't even feed our own. You know, and that's not always true, but it's one of them where, you know, we're doing something for where we want it to be.
But you're running a business now, I guess you're just earning a wage from your business, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you are probably selling yourself short on some months because you're trying to build a business at the same time as live a life.
Yeah.
But you've also got staff to feed, so they would generally come first, unfortunately, Lauren. Just one of those things, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. You got to keep the business running, haven't you?
And Lauren works within the business.
She does and doesn't. She does dabble in it, and she does try not to be too involved in it.
Yeah.
I suppose because it is hard for her to have a bit of a say, you know. So, but she is a massive input, you know. If she says, you know, don't do it, I'm more than likely going to go ahead.
Times, haven't I?
Oh, have you? All right. First time hearing about this.
Just I move question.
Yeah, me too.
She's always been so pleasant to deal with.
Yeah.
So give her a bit of a shout out.
Yeah.
And your kids?
Yeah, Leo and James. Yeah.
Leo and James.
Yeah, the little mini Turtons.
How old are they?
They're 5 and coming up 11. The other one.
Will they watch this?
Nah, probably not.
No,
They're not listening to me ramble for hours.
Cool,
Well, one of them Leo wants to be a YouTuber when he's older. So I mean, listen, I'm not having you steal my wife and my son all on the same day.
Is that Leo? Is it?
Yeah.
We'll just leave you with James. You can have. You'll be all right, James, mate.
Yeah, I'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, I've got huge appreciation, not just for my family who've helped us, but along the way, but other movers have helped us massively. But yeah, it's all about speaking to the right ones and making sure that the right ones give you the right advice. And I'm very grateful for all of that, and being able to speak to some people, just ring them up. Nick Wilkinson, one of them that I ring up quite often, and I'm like, what do I do about this on my truck? And he's like, just do X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? And he really helps with that side of things.
Just like surrounding yourself with like-minded people, isn't it? And there's a good clique in removals, I feel.
Yeah.
We're part of a real good clique.
Yeah.
Like the youngsters, the new companies coming through.
Yeah.
Everyone just seems connected.
Yeah, 100%.
You've got Should we go through?
I wouldn't say it's a click. I think click's a bit strong in it, but it's like I think the community is good, positive community. Do you know what I mean?
I think it is a hard. Some people don't want to open the door. Yeah. Some people will open the door. Some people will not want to talk at all to anyone, but maybe that's just them, you know, that's just them, and maybe it's just a bit more of an introvert, you know, not everybody's, I've got to accept that not everybody's like me, you know, not everybody wants to just chat for the sake of chatting.
But it's great that you give one a call, you give other companies a call, because as you say, people might be shy to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good for a bit of advice, but at the same time, you know, like some people ring us up and be like, "What are you done with this?" You know, and some of the time I'll be able to offer my advice, and I always look to giving that back. And I was saying to you about doing that. I've always wanted to sort of give something back to the point where like not everybody's as fortunate as where I am now. And that would be good.
I think that was a turning point for you with signing up to iMove, I remember, because can you remember when you got in touch and you said that you seen me working for like the homeless pantry? I did some like voluntary work.
Yeah.
I really like that, and I think that's probably why I want to sign up.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Maybe we should do more of that,
Warren helping the homeless. But it's good, and it's really good. I think it brings you back down to sort of, we could all be, it only takes one wrong move to be homeless, doesn't it, at the end of the day? And we could all be grounded a bit more, and it definitely helps. But yeah, I'm always, I suppose I do take a lot of advice. I do take quite a bit, and it's good to give back where you can. You know, not that I'm saying that I'm a knowledgeable guy or anything, but I'm always open to listen to people if I can, if they can get a word in.
So, what's your advice to the year starting removal company who's just starting out, who's got one van?
Don't do it. No, it's hard. It is hard. Don't be thinking that, you know, it's not. It's going to be an easy journey, and you're going to get from point A to point B fast. Because it takes some serious foundations to put in first, to be able to sort of do anything, even just running a van. That is difficult. So hats off to anyone that can do it, anyone that's wanting to do it. I think just be prepared to graft, because it's not as easy as, you know. I think you made
it's a low barrier to entry, and it's a low barrier to entry job, and many people just think they can jump into it.
The lads at the same time, the lads will watch, you know, will watch me go out onto a job, and I'm kind of just not doing anything other than just watching how they're doing, and making sure that it's sort of done right. And they're like, "Oh yeah, you just do nothing." And then when they get home, they get to switch off. And I had one come over to the house, and I was sat at the computer, and I was like, yeah, I'll be through in a minute. And I sat at the computer until about 8 o'clock at night. And he was like, we're finished at like 2. How come you're still? And I was like, because this is the work that goes on. And he was like, you know, I'd never even thought about like the fact that moving someone's house, actually, you have to put in quite a bit of work. And
there's a lot that goes behind the scenes to acquire one move. There's loads.
Especially at the start when you're starting out.
You could have one customer who's, it's the same as yours with iMove. You might get one person like me where, you know, they're struggling a little bit, and you might have to spend a little bit more time with them. You know, yourself, you get a move where you don't have to do anything, and it could be, you know, £1 million house, and you'll not have to do any preparation. You don't even have to And then you could move a £150,000 house if you have them around here.
They don't exist nowadays.
That's where they keep their pets.
In the £150,000 shed. But it's true, and then you might get that, and they might be like, how, you know, I had one recently where they were like just asking about like, what do I do with my fridge? What do I do with? And I spent a lot of time like just explaining and being like, you know, run this down and just being supportive, I suppose, because ultimately in the moving industry, you know, your estate agents, your solicitors, all the other ones, they're not offering that advice, and they're taking a big chunk, but they don't offer that advice, and they don't tell them what they should be prepared for. And I think that's a big thing, is just being somebody's sort of peace of mind and just
educating them.
It's not every day that you move house, is it? But I mean, not that they need educated, because they're probably not going to take it in, because when are they going to move again? But it's more about just reassuring them, or like just saying, you know, just do this, and then that'll be all right. Or you know, you don't have to worry about that. We've got it. Don't worry about it.
There's loads that goes into a move, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot. You know, from the first initial phone call, if you think about it, you know, you've got to put on that real gentle, nice voice, win them over, book in a quote, plan that in, take your time out of the day to go and do the quote, try and win them over at the quote. You become your little salesman, come back, write it all out.
Yeah, you've got it all
send
there.
It off. If they accept, then they might want packing materials. And then they ask loads of questions on the run-up. And then they have delays in the chain. And then their move cancels. You have to line guys up, and you have to organise the protectors to take on that day. And when you go there, you can't damage anything.
Exactly.
All of that happens on one move, which might earn you £200 profit.
Do
you know what I mean?
And then you've spent time training staff and everything else as well. And that comes as a big one for us, is the fact that because we're at a bit of a growth stage, it's making sure the lads are still providing that service when they're going out on the van.
I just thought, like, with iMove, it's just like, now we've got email automation, it's just like 7 clicks of a button, and you don't even that's it. That's what I thought it was. There's a bit more to it then.
Well, think about it, that new update that we released today, where you can send the cubic feet calculator to a customer, and they can fill it out. You can acquire a move without hardly doing anything, really. You can click away, they can do their own inventory, then you can send a quote based on that.
Well, wouldn't you think they'd lie on the inventory? Like, you know, like
they would fiddle the truth.
Would you quote off the key? Do you? Cause, so it's like, okay, you know what I mean.
I've only got a sofa, and there's nothing from the kitchen going, and there's only one bed upstairs, but it's a 3-bed house. We've had that a few times, and they don't estimate, like, because obviously you think. Every customer thinks there's only 40 boxes in their house, you know, 40 boxes worth of stuff, and you're like, all right, okay, well that's probably not true, you know. The average kitchen's about 40, so you know, you're gonna struggle with just 40. So so it's like making them aware of that, and I suppose some of the time it does work, because you could just go, oh well, if you're just moving from a 1-bed flat, here, just fill out this, and that'll save us both a bit of time. And maybe they are just price hunting as well, and they're like, can you give us a price on just an inventory alone? Definitely for rentals.
So do you do quotes in person?
Yeah.
So you go out and survey the job and quote it.
One of our videos, Rob, was actually virtually or in person.
Was it? Yeah.
What's the percentage? So mine's probably 90% home visits, 10% videos.
I think ours is a lot more virtual. Is it? It goes through waves though. So at the minute we've been out a lot more. Yeah. But often we get quite a lot of about it works out, I'd probably say about 80% is virtual. It does tend to be mainly virtual, because a lot of people are like busy. Say if you're a doctor, for instance, I'm working 12-hour shifts and my only day off's a Sunday. Do you want to do it virtually? Do you want to just go have a walk around your house with your camera?
Do you do it? That? Do you do many, like, just send me a video, or do you actually plan a video call?
So we do them a sort of like, this is what we want from your video. Send us that, and we'll be all right. And then we'll work with them on it as well. So we're like, oh, maybe you're you know, have you got anything in the loft? Or have you got anything? Have you got any outhouses? Because sometimes that's a common one. Like I've got a big a garage and garden and loads of garden furniture and a shed. And then they're like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about the shed and all the garden furniture and the garage. Yeah. And you're like, all right, okay, that would be good, please.
So difficult. We're working in the background of a survey. I think it's already out there of a AI survey. Like, so you go with the video, and it tells you the cubic feet of a chair, and it recognises it, and feeds it into the system.
Oh wow!
And then writes it down, and then it'll go. And we were having a conversation, but we're worried it might be one of them where it's like you do it and then it gives you like false information. But wouldn't it give you probably better information than the actual person of doing it? Or you know what I mean? It's not going to give you better information now, like right now. It might even give you better information than the quota. Do you know what I mean?
I think 5 years from now...
Would you use that just to a bit of feedback for us?
Maybe... But the problem with that is say, like if it picked up, say it went around and it picked up, that is just one table.
And say if it was say if you went round and it was like, bam, that radiator, oh my God, I've measured it myself and it's absolutely spot on. Would it be useful then? Would you use it?
Or would you trust it?
I would try to trust it. I would trust it to a certain point where you could go like, right, okay, we'll trust that, but then we'll check it over for a month or so and make sure it was doing its job. You know, and that'd
be the way.
Just keep an eye on it. Just make sure it was working all right. But yeah, so I've just realised I was pointing at a desk off camera. Yeah. That is one table.
The W table.
Yeah, the W one. But yeah, I think it's one of them where you always have to keep moving. You always have to keep moving forwards.
Yeah, and that's what we will always do. We're really, really happy to have people like you on board.
Yeah,
it's been amazing to chat to you every day.
And it's been good. Every day. It's been good to get to know you.
Thanks, guys.
And Lauren.
Yeah.
You've been a great guest. Very entertaining, I'd say, on and off camera. And it's been great. So
nice, honest, informative advice. Really, really happy that you took the journey. It's a big journey to get to what it is. It really is. So
it's not really.
We appreciate that. 4 hours.
It's 4 hour drive.
4 hours away.
It's nothing for you, Warren.
Sorry,
Rob, I didn't drive you.
I drove from Aberdeen yesterday.
Did you? Yeah. Oh, look at that. And Rob doesn't even get a shout out.
Just for you.
Just for me. Oh, look at that. Thanks,
but
mate.
no, honestly, guys, thanks,
you
Ben.
drove here for me. I drove here for Warren.
I feel like the odd one out.
Only kidding. I drove here.
It's all right, mate. I know I'm not a removal man in that.
You're not the start. You're the behind the camera.
We might do it behind the scenes. I might start a removal business from scratch, document it all the way with iMove, and then just prove to people. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'd be like looking down on Turton's turns. Great. It's been great to have you.